Good morning, my YouTube viewers. It is Palestine here. Welcome to my channel. I haven't made a long video in a few days because I've been really busy. And so basically what happened is I made a 314-page document, which I was making YouTube videos on that document. And then so I was making YouTube videos on that document, but I completed the document, and now I'm putting the document in blog posts. And since it's such a large document, every blog post is going to be a chapter or two of the document. And so I'm only allowed to input like maybe one blog post a day, so I can only do one blog post a day. So this is taking a little bit of time. And in addition to that, I've got diagrams in the document because I like pictures and diagrams and things like that. And the way that Medium Publications works is you have to copy and paste every picture individually. So what I do is I copy and paste some text, copy and paste a picture, and then I do that process over and over again until I finish the chapter. So it's taking me a while to do the blog post, just like it took me a while to do all the videos. And if you're interested in R programming or data science, those videos can be found on my data science channel of Crystal X. And if you just do a search on Crystal X data science, I'm sure you'll see all the video. You'll see my channel. So basically, and then in addition to that, I've been real busy. So I've had my day job, but in addition to my day job, I've been having to cook dinner, wash dishes, study, make YouTube videos, make blog posts, and things like that. And then in addition to that, I've had some relationship conflicts. And since there were some conflicts in the relationship, I didn't really feel very much a bit like making YouTube videos. But I'm back now because I was up early this morning. I woke up before 6 o'clock and I thought, oh, well, I could lay in bed and sleep or I can get up and work on this blog post. So I got up and worked on the blog post so I can get that out of the way. And then I had a little bit more time and I decided I wanted to go ahead and make a video, which is what I'm doing. So I made a video yesterday and I wanted to talk about all the poor quality food that we get in the handouts, but I got a telephone call. I had to take the telephone call and I couldn't finish it. Well, we do get poor quality food in the handouts, and what I'll say is in the last week or so, in these handouts, we were given fish that was 2 weeks out of date. We were given strawberries that were moldy, and we were given something else that was bad, is bananas that were bad. And that's what happens when you go to these handouts. You're not given good food. You're given really old food. It can be on the sell-by date or past the sell-by date, but you're not given good food. And I'd say probably about half of the food that you're given at the handouts you have to throw out because it's not edible. And that's what these businesses do. And there's a difference between a food handout and a food bank. So a food bank is something where you get referred to a food bank from your GP or from the job center. And so that's how you can get into a food bank. But a food handout is different. It's just a charity. And what these businesses do is they give their old food that they can't sell to the charities. And then these charities give this old food that the stores couldn't sell to poor people. And so when you get the food, it's already old. Quite often it's rotten. So you have to eat it immediately, because if you don't eat it immediately, it's definitely going to go bad. And my friend, because I don't have time to be cooking all the time. I do cook. I cook maybe one meal a day. I do cook and I do fix meals and things like that. But I don't have time to be cooking. And my dyslexic friend or my sick friend, he doesn't understand that. He thinks I should be slaving away at the kitchen 3 meals a day. Well, I can't do that. I don't have time to do that. You know, in the culture that he was brought up in Indian culture, they want the women to be housewives. So maybe because the woman is a housewife, maybe she can slave away at the kitchen making 3 meals a day. But I'm not a housewife. I have to earn money to stay alive, so I can't slave away in the kitchen. And that's something he doesn't understand, that I just can't do that. I don't have enough time in the day to be cooking 3 meals a day, going to work, cleaning my flat, studying, taking care of my boyfriend, taking care of him. I don't have time to do all that. But anyway, so back to this business with this rotten food. So generally when you go to a handout, the food is either on the sell-by date or past the sell-by date. So you have to eat it right away. If you don't eat it right away, it's definitely going to be rotten because it's so old. And so, like these strawberries I got a few days ago, I got them on a Tuesday night. We were going to have them for our breakfast Wednesday morning. They were already molding. So they were moldy when we got them Tuesday night. But what they do at this handout, they keep the lights down really low so you can't see what the food looks like. So when you get it home, you realize it's rotten, you know. And quite often, some of the food that I know it's going to be rotten, because they would have these trays of melons and things, and I thought, oh, that's nice, I'll get a tray of melon. Well, you know it's rotten when they give it to you, and then so when you get it home, you can't eat it because it's all gone off. So I don't even get these trays of melons anymore because I know they're rotten, you know. And so, yeah, I got something on Wednesday morning for my breakfast. I wanted to have it, and it was already moldy and rotten, so I couldn't have it. And then we had some fish last week. The fish was 2 weeks out of date. Why are these stores giving handouts food that's 2 weeks out of date? So we had to throw that away. And then we got some bananas. The bananas are all black and everything like that. And so we had to throw those out. And that's what these stores do. And what they do is they give these charities all this really old food that they can't sell. And because the charities come and get the food, and then the charities will give the food to poor people. So these stores don't have to pay to dispose of the food, because that's normally what they would have to do. So these stores are giving charities rotten food, old rotten food, and the charities are giving it to poor people. And so I wanted to make a video about that. That's what I was intending to make a video on yesterday and say, you know, how disgusting that is. So I covered the business about the charities with the poor people. And then, so basically what happened yesterday, I had to ring my doctor's surgery, because every 4 weeks I have to renew the prescription for my medication, because I take about 10 medications. And then so I sent the email on Tuesday, and then I thought, oh, well, I better phone them up on Friday. So I rang up on Friday, and I found out that they said they never had received my email. Okay, so then they rang me up, and then I forwarded the email. I just happened to be sitting at my desk. So I forwarded the email that I had sent them on Tuesday, and they noted that I had sent it on Tuesday night. But that's another problem with my GP surgery, because 1, they don't reply to my emails, and then 2, they say that they're not receiving the emails. So since they don't reply to my emails, I have to ring them up and say, did you receive my email? And so I have to do that. So they said that they got my email and they were going to pass it to the doctor. But while I was ringing the doctor surgery to find out if they had received my email to renew my prescription, I got when I phoned the doctor, I got a virtual receptionist. So now this doctor surgery has a virtual receptionist. So instead of talking to a person, you talk to a computer, and it's based on natural language processing. And so basically, this computer asks you a series of questions, and you answer the questions clearly, and then the computer responds, and you answer yes or no, whether it was correct. And then so I had to go through all this palaver to talk to this virtual computer because they didn't want me to speak to a person. So I went through all this palaver to speak to this virtual receptionist. And then that's how they found out that they said they hadn't received my email. But I was thinking about this virtual receptionist business because the medical system in the UK is nationalized. So obviously they want to save as much money as possible. So they want to automate as many procedures as possible. And since they want to automate as many procedures as possible, they want to use AI to do a lot of these automated procedures. And the reason why is because you don't have to, you pay for the computer, but after you pay for the computer, you don't have to pay the salaries of the people who've lost their jobs through to this automation. You don't have to give them breaks. They work 24/7. They don't want to be paid. I mean, who knows, maybe some point in the future, AI is going to be demanding salaries. Who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, so now I've got a virtual receptionist that I speak to when I ring the doctor's surgery to ask about my prescription. But what's going to happen? My question is this. When all of these tasks are automated, and by the way, I know that the tasks I do, they want to automate those tasks. I know that. But because I do an administrative role, and that's what they want to do. They want to automate all of these administrative roles. But going back to that, when all these people have lost their jobs because AI has taken their jobs through automation, who's going to buy all these products and services? That's a question. Because if you've not got any money, you can't buy products and services. I mean, when I was working at Foster Wheeler, I used to go get facials and manicures and pedicures. I can't do that now. So that's just something that the establishment needs to think about. So when everybody's lost their jobs through automation and through AI, who's going to be able to buy all these products and services? The people who've lost their jobs are not going to be able to do it. And then also, so that was the one thing I was thinking about yesterday. And also, there's this man, okay, and he was our friend. He's not anymore. We've known him for about a year, and he's an alcoholic. And I may or may not have made a YouTube video about it because I was really upset at the time. But I may have decided not to make a YouTube video even though I was really upset. But basically, he's an alcoholic, and really he was just looking for drinkers. He was just looking for people to drink with him. So somehow or other, he got my boyfriend's number, and he thought that my boyfriend would be a good drinking buddy, which I wouldn't be happy about that. And then, so we went out with him a few times, and he even admitted he was an alcoholic. He even admitted that he was a functioning alcoholic, but he's not a functioning alcoholic. He's an alcoholic. And he had some trouble with the law, and that's probably why I didn't want to make the video, because he has some troubles with the law because he's an alcoholic. He had some troubles with this woman because he's an alcoholic, and he was going to these handouts and getting to know the people at the handouts. And then one time I said to him, I said, I don't pay any notice to the people I meet at the handouts. And he said to me, he said, well, I met you at a handout. And I said, no, you didn't. You met me at Oasis. He said, I was sitting right across from you at Sadaka. Well, I pay so little attention to the people at the handouts. I didn't even know that he was sitting right across from me. And I'm not sure that he was. And so he got in some trouble with this woman. This woman is an ex-con. She was in prison for, I think, 17 years for a very violent crime. I don't think she ever should have been let out. The crime that she committed, I don't think that she ever should have been let out of prison. But they let her out of prison, and then while she was in prison or something, they found out that she was autistic. So they let her out of prison, so they give her benefits like universal credit. She's probably getting PIP too. And then, and she's living on the government's dime. She's living in sheltered housing because they say that her autism is so bad that she needs to be in sheltered housing. Well, if she was able to go to prison for a violent crime, why can't she live on her own? But that's another issue. So basically, she said some things. She made some accusations against this man. She said he did it in a pub. I don't think he did it in a pub. I know he's an alcoholic, but I think even he wouldn't do something like that in a pub. I think he would do it in her place, but I don't think that he did it in the pub. And so there was like a 6-month-long investigation, and I don't know why it took so long to investigate the matter. And the reason why is because all they had to do was look at the CCTV footage of this pub to ascertain whether anything had gone on. So why it took 6 months to investigate, I never will know. I don't think he did anything like that in a pub. I think he probably did something like that when he was in her home, but I don't think he did anything like that in a pub. So basically, the CCTV footage didn't come up with anything because we found that out from the woman, because she came and talked to me and told me. And I just said to her, I said, well, we haven't spoken to this guy in months, which we hadn't, because it was Christmas and he was depressed and lonely and didn't have anybody. And so I invited him over to my house for Christmas Eve. And then because he is an alcoholic. And so it was just such a farce, like me spending all Christmas with him, because all he was doing was drinking. And he did actually give my boyfriend some money, but I think he was drunk when he did it, and I don't think he even remembers doing it. And so at Christmas he came over, and he wasn't very nice. He went and bought this lamb that I couldn't get in my air fryer. I just barely got it in the air fryer, and I didn't want to make the lamb. I wanted just to make a stew, put it in my multi-cooker. But because he bought this lamb, I had to cook it. It's just by some miracle I cooked it in the air fryer. And then on Christmas Day, we went to this place called Manzano, where they were giving out a free Christmas meal. He made a spectacle of himself there. My boyfriend was ringing his mother, and he was yelling really loud into the phone. So he just makes a spectacle of himself. He just wants attention. And then I think we spent Boxing Day with him. And then he said that he wasn't going to go to any of the handouts because this woman had made allegations against him, and he said that he was afraid to go to the handouts because that woman would be there. But we spent New Year's Eve with him, And it was all just drink. He's an alcoholic. Every time he went to my house, he was drinking. And so I felt sorry for him. So I invited him over to my house for dinner because I felt sorry for him. Well, he didn't want to go to any dinner. What he wanted was someone to drink with him. He didn't want dinner. He wanted drink. And so the day before he was supposed to come over to my house for dinner, he said he was hit by a bike. Well, if he was hit by a bike, he should have phoned the police or something like that, because that bike, it was by somebody on Deliveroo or something like that. And he should have gone to the doctor immediately. But because he's an alcoholic, he just went to his home and drank. And he texted my boyfriend the day that he was supposed to come to my house. He texted my boyfriend and said, yes, he was coming. Well, he didn't turn up. And this guy has a master's degree in some kind of mechanical engineering. And he's such a drunk. He couldn't even get to my place, even though I live pretty much in the center of town, on the east side of the center of town. And then, so my boyfriend would have to go find him wherever he was and pick him up and take him to my house, because he said that he couldn't get to my house. He didn't know how to get to my house. And then, but he knows how to get to every pub in the town we live in. Now he knows that. So my boyfriend would have to go find him and take him to my house. But we did that because we felt sorry for him. And so that day, he didn't turn up. My boyfriend went to get him, and he wasn't at this pub. And then another thing that he could do, he could take bus 17 almost directly to my house. But no, he would walk to the train station and take a train 3 minutes to get to the center of town, when he could easily take bus number 17. But he said that he didn't want to take bus number 17 because he was afraid that that woman would be on the bus. It was just ridiculous. It was just a farce. It was ridiculous. And so this day that he was supposed to come over to my house, when I'd been cooking all day long, and he didn't turn up at the pub. So my boyfriend tried to ring him. He didn't pick up. I tried to ring him. He didn't pick up. And then so finally, he didn't turn up. He stood us up. And my boyfriend had to work harder than he did, because my boyfriend had to go to the pub to get him. And that's what he wanted. He wanted my boyfriend to meet him at a pub so they could drink, because that's all he wanted to do was drink. And he's not a functioning alcoholic. He's an alcoholic. And so the next day, my boyfriend that night, my boyfriend was phoning the hospitals, worrying that he was in the hospital. And then the next day, my boyfriend phoned the police and asked them to do a welfare check. And the police said, well, if we find him and he's okay, we can't tell you because he might not want us to contact you. So finally, we figured it out. We figured it out on Facebook Messenger, and we figured it out on WhatsApp to see if somebody was active. He was active on Facebook Messenger, and he was active on WhatsApp. He just didn't want to go to my house for dinner. All he wanted was a drinker, someone to drink with him. And that's when we realized that he stood us up and ghosted us. He came up with some excuse about how he was sleeping. He wasn't sleeping. He was passed out from drink. And then, so I was upset about what he did, because, if he didn't want to come, all he had to do was just say that he didn't want to come. He didn't have to do something like that. But he did it because he's an alcoholic. And so I posted some things on Facebook saying how upset I was. And people were saying, oh, don't post that. You need to move on. Get over it. Well, I did move on. It took me a while, but I did move on. And then so apparently we found out from this woman who made accusations against him that the case was dropped because the CCTV was pointing in the other direction. And I told the woman that we hadn't spoken to him for months. Well, even though he didn't want us to go to the handouts, he was saying how bad these handouts were and don't go to the handouts, blah, 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 blah. I guess he's run out of money because he started going to the handouts again. But when he's at the handouts, he doesn't speak to us. Okay, so I just want to clarify the issue. I'm the one that put those comments on Facebook, not my boyfriend, me. So if he doesn't want to speak to me, that's fine. But my boyfriend didn't put anything on Facebook. My boyfriend didn't do anything wrong. So he's not speaking to my boyfriend either. I think that he should be embarrassed about what he did, but he's trying to say we ditched him because he got hit by this bike. We didn't ditch him because he got hit by this bike. We ditched him because he stood us up and then ghosted us. And so I seen him at the handouts, and my boyfriend doesn't want to speak to him, and I don't want to speak to him. But even if this guy, he's an alcoholic, came up to me and had a chance to reflect on his behavior, and even if he did come up and say, oh, I'm really sorry about what I did. I was an alcoholic and I just was drunk, blah, blah, blah. I still wouldn't be able to be his friend again. And the reason why is because I'm busy. I have moved on. I'm busy. I've met other people. I've made other friends. I have other people in my life. And I don't have time in my life because I spend so much time, effort into my friendships. I don't have time in my life to be dealing with an alcoholic because I had a relationship with an alcoholic, and a long time ago, like maybe almost 40 years ago, I had a relationship with an alcoholic, and I was with him for a year, and at the end of the year, I wanted to put my head in the oven, which you can't do that now because ovens are safer now than they were then. But you could then. You could then. But so even if this guy came and said he was, thought about his behavior and said he was sorry, I still couldn't be his friend. I don't have time. I'm busy. I've moved on. And but he's not speaking to my boyfriend either. If he doesn't want to speak to me, that's fine. I'm the one that put the stuff on Facebook, not my boyfriend, me. But he's not speaking to my boyfriend either. And I think he's embarrassed about what he did. And so apparently he's been going back to the handouts. He's been going to see all his friends, these people at Oasis. And last night he was at Oasis and he didn't say anything to us, which is fine with me. But apparently he had posted something on Facebook about how he's not drinking. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he decided that he was going to give up the booze, which he should do. He should do because he has a heart condition and he's had to have stents put in his valves in his heart. And he should. I mean, alcohol's really bad for you. So he should give up drinking. And I think that he said in one message or something that he wasn't drinking. So maybe he's given up drinking and he should give up drinking. But I don't care. If he wants to speak to my boyfriend, that's fine. But even my boyfriend doesn't want to speak to him. And my boyfriend said that the only thing he was looking for was a drinking buddy. And that's true. That's all he wanted was a drinking buddy. So last night he was at Oasis and he didn't speak to us. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But my boyfriend didn't do anything to deserve that kind of treatment. I'm the one that put the stuff on Facebook, not my boyfriend. I'm the one that did it. So he could speak to my boyfriend and tell my boyfriend he was sorry, but he won't. I think he's embarrassed about what he did, and he's saying that we ditched him because he was hit by a bike, and he wasn't. We ditched him because he stood us up and ghosted us. So those are the things that I wanted to discuss in this video. I had a lot to discuss. And I got up this morning, I thought, well, I can lay in bed and sleep, which is probably what I should have done, or I can get up and do all these things that I need to do. So I decided to get up and do all these things that I need to do. And so now, when I finish this video, which is going to be soon, I'm going to go to to Queen's Arms and get myself a breakfast because I don't have a cooker. And now Queen's Arms is giving breakfast every Saturday morning. And since I don't have a cooker, I'm going to go every Saturday morning to Queen's Arms and get myself a cooked breakfast. Except for when we go visit my boyfriend's mother, I won't be able to do it that day because I can't carry my bags. I can't carry my bags. So I can carry them to the bus stop, just about, but I don't want to carry them to Queen's Arms, which is on the other side of town. So that concludes my video. I've covered a lot of these topics that I was meaning to cover, but I couldn't because I was so busy with all of my other things that I have to do. So I thought I'll get it all out in the open in the one video. So I hope you like this video. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching my video, taking an interest in my life, as pathetic as it is. Thank you.